welcome all of you to the Independent Living Center of the Hudson Valley. We, afterwards, if anybody wants a tour, we can give you a tour. But it really is just a wonderful event here today. We've been waiting for a long time for this to come, and we're so happy that we now will have an Office of Chief Disability Officer in the Executive Chamber, an office that's going to represent disability issues across the board, and a voice in our government. And so I really just thank all of you for being here. I have the honor of introducing our governor, and I will turn this over to Governor Kathy Hochul. So thank you, Governor. Welcome.
Hello, I think there's some remarks coming up this way. There they are. Okay, thank you. I didn't see them down there. I was too distracted by everything that's going on in this wonderful room today, and this is an historic day. It truly, truly is, and I would call this also a day that is long overdue. And to all the advocates who never gave up the fight, to recognize that the disability community, and it is vast, it is influential, and it has a voice that needs to be heard, that finally we have an office. Yes, you can clap for that, because I believe that. And I was talking about someone who is no stranger and is so, I'm getting more compliments from selecting Kim Hill than anything I've done as governor, so I'm feeling good about that. But first of all, to Denise Figueroa, I want to thank you for being such an incredible champion for people who just sometimes just need a little bit of hope, and people who believe in them and believe in their possibilities. And that's what this is all about, is in your role as Executive Director of the Independent Living Center of the Hudson Valley. And I also want to thank the champions that we have in elective office, and you have many, many friends and allies. And that would be Senator James Skoufis, who you'll be hearing from, the sponsor of this bill. Phil Steck is the Assembly member, who's also the Assembly sponsor, not able to be here. Something came up that he just could not get out of, but he sends his appreciation to everyone involved in this long journey, as well as John Mannion, the chair in the Senate of the Committee on Disabilities. John Mannion. And Tom Abenati, chair of the Committee on People with Disabilities in the Assembly. So thank you very much. I think he's on his way. And John McDonald, our local Assembly member, and of course our Mayor of Troy, Pat Madden. And I just saw, as I was coming up here, the whistling kettle. We've had a cup of tea there a few times, and so you don't know this, but when I'm not sitting in Albany, I'm probably slipping around Troy. I love the restaurants, don't mind the burgers at Slide and Dirty, and walking the streets. It's a wonderful, vibrant community, and I just love coming here. And having this center in this place is an important statement that this is an integration with the downtown community that is really coming back. And so the symbolism of that is truly powerful. We think about the fact that New York State has not had this position in a permanent way, and that is an oversight and a decision that is now being corrected, but it's just been inexcusable when you think about that. I mean, why not? And I also hold ourselves to very high standards here in the state of New York. Whenever I think about a single policy, my first question is anybody else doing this? What's going on in other states? I mean, how do we measure up in terms of our metrics and how we're serving our people? Because we are the Empire State, and every area we touch has to be a model for the rest of the nation. We should always be the best. And this is an area that I have examined closely. And when you think about the fact that our employment levels, for example, are not what they should be, look at the fact that 35% of people with disabilities, 18 to 64 living in New York State, are employed, 35% employed. That puts us at 38th out of 50 in the nation. That's not a category or statistic that I'm real proud of. So I know we can do better there. We also have to talk about the fact that 30% of individuals live in poverty, another area that needs an intense focus. That should not be a statistic that exists after several more years of focus on this. I want to make sure that we are among the best in serving these communities as well. And people living with physical, developmental, psychiatric, sensory, mobility disabilities, they have had to endure a lot. And housing issues. I mean, the complication behind getting something as simple as a home that meets your needs. And I'm investing, with the support of the legislature, hopefully in a few more weeks, we'll get this through the legislature, a $25 billion affordable housing plan. Within that, tens of thousands of units for supportive housing. We need to make sure that we are meeting people where they are. They need to have not just a roof over their head, but a roof over their head and services sometimes that also allow them to excel in that environment. That is what I'm pushing for as well. I also, having spent time in Congress as a member of the Armed Services Committee, and on that journey, it took me to places like Afghanistan, but really had me be embedded with the individuals once they returned from that service. And so many individuals went there, young people full of life who, because of a deployment or multiple deployments, they return either with physical or psychological disabilities that we as a nation are responsible for helping them heal from. That is our obligation as fellow Americans, and we need to make sure that we're providing housing for veterans and more supportive services, as well as employment for our veterans with disabilities as well. They have unique needs. They've been through a unique experience, and we need to recognize that. Again, meeting people where they are with their life's experiences. And so how do we do that? Well, we get a superstar. We find someone whose passion and reputation is stellar, nationally known, and when I say I'm putting people in place, I want them to be national leaders. I want the rest of the country, when they have a conference on how we deal with the disability community overall and how we meet people and meet their needs, I want them to say that, let's look to New York, because New York is making a difference, and very quickly. Those of you who are getting to know me, I'm the most impatient person you're ever going to meet. I'm like, this should have been done yesterday. And I have a person at my side who's going to do that, and that is Kim Hill. Kim is going to be our state's very first Chief Disability Officer, our Chief Disability Officer. You know her because she served for the New York State Assembly, our Standing Committee on People with Disabilities. She served as the director of the Assembly Task Force as well. And she just has that demeanor and those relationships that are already existing that are going to truly benefit us as we speak. There's other areas we can do as well, as I've now set the bar very high for you, Kim, very high. I have no doubt that you'll meet this. But also we've made other investments in high need areas, $240 million increase in investing in schools for children with disabilities. Also, I want New York State to be a model employer. I've looked at other states. I've talked to governors. I've talked to lieutenant governors in the 7 years I was lieutenant governor. And I know that there's others who are breaking territory that we've not yet accomplished. Let's see what's out there. Let's be the model that other states look to, and I believe we can get there. And also what I'm going to be doing in our budget is authorizing state agencies to designate up to 1,200 positions be filled by qualified people with disabilities. Let's give people a real shot, a meaningful chance. And that'll include up to 500 positions for people who are qualified wartime veterans with disabilities. You're also going to be coordinating our response to the implementation of American with Disabilities. You'll also be chairing the most integrated setting coordinating council. I'm going to fill up your days and make sure that we're not only compliant with Olmstead, but also, as I said, becomes a model. And that is what I'm very excited about. We're also going to expand New York State's Commission for the Blind's Business Enterprise Program. We're going to take care of that. We have more work to do there, and I really do believe in tremendous potential there. So all New Yorkers deserve the best. They deserve the best representation in government. They need a champion who is directly in the governor's office, part of the chamber, so there's direct accountability, which I think is important, I know is important. And because the buck ultimately stops with me, but I will be judged by not just what I do, but how all of us can respond to the needs of this community, which, as I said, have been overlooked for far, far too long. And Kim, you are the person I have trusted, high confidence, and we're going to be working very closely together. And so bring me ideas, bring me the innovations, bring me the ideas that come out of this community, but also what's happening in other states and indeed around the world. We need to be the best. Whatever we need to do, we have to be the best because we are the Empire State. Our motto is Excelsior, and that is what I'm looking to aspire to. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Kim Hill, our very first Chief Disability Officer.
Thank you, and thank you, Governor Hochul, for this tremendous opportunity. I just can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to work with you. We're going to do everything we can to start improving the lives of people with disabilities across the state. I think I can easily speak for all the advocates and people with disabilities in this room to say we are so grateful to have you, to have a voice within the governor's office, and our great working relationship that I know that we're going to have to do tremendous things. I also want to say that I am so lucky to see so many friendly faces in this room. Lots of advocates that I've worked with for the last 24 years on disability issues across the board from the legislative side, and Senator Skoufis, Assemblyman McDonald, and I know Assemblyman Stack and Avenante wanted to be here and might even be approaching. But we have a lot of champions in the legislature, so we're going to work so well together and continue our good work. Today's a day that we need to celebrate the signing of this bill. We've worked lots of years to get to this place. Then we get to go to work, and we've got a lot of issues. We've got home care, they're paid for home care, housing, education, employment, more ADA access, and improving access to all types of programs and services for all the state agencies that we're going to be working with. So I'm really, really excited. I do hope, and it was in my comments as well, to say that I hope New York becomes a leader in everything aimed at improving the lives of people with disabilities. I hope we can become a model. So I'm super excited to watch this bill signing happen and then get to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. And at this time, we'd like to hear from Senator Skoufis, and thank you for being such an incredible champion on this issue for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, and I'm really delighted to join you and everyone in this room, a lot of friends in this room from the Hudson Valley, where I am, and elsewhere. And I've been at this for 5 or 6 years. I remember meeting with Doug Hovey in a coffee shop when I took on the task force for people with disabilities in the Assembly and learning about this issue. Many of you have been at this for longer than 5 or 6 years. It turns out all we needed was a new governor who cared about people with disabilities. And let me say that Governor Hochul, in about 6 short months, has done more for the disability community than the prior 11 years that we saw. And so I thank you, Governor Hochul, for your leadership on this and so many other issues. Every major decision that's going to come out of New York State government from henceforth, because of Kim Hill, and certainly because of what the governor has done today in signing this bill, those decisions will be made with the disability community front of mind. And you can clap for that, absolutely. And I can't say enough about Kim Hill. She is not an exceptional candidate for this job to be the first Chief Disability Officer. She is the perfect candidate for this job to be the first Chief Disability Officer. And I may be speaking out of school. I know somewhere in this room, Ji-Hoon Kim is standing around. And I know he, at the staff level within the governor's office, worked very hard on this. I want to thank him for his efforts. He made probably the best decision that he could have made in joining this administration after being out of the chamber and out of chamber government for some time. The only bad decision he's ever made was leaving my district as a constituent a number of years ago. But I'm so thrilled he's in the administration to help make this happen. So thank you, Ji-hoon, wherever you're standing out there in the back. And certainly my partners in government, Senator Mannion, the assembly members who are here, my friends. This is many years in the making. I am humbled to have been a very small part of getting this bill to where it is. And truly, truly, deeply, thank you, Governor Hochul, for making this a reality. This will positively impact. We talk about in government, we want to impact the lives of our constituents. We want to make a difference in the lives of our constituents. This, with a stroke of a pen, this new law, this new position will positively impact not thousands, but millions of New Yorkers, not just this year, not just next year, forever moving forward. Thank you, Governor Hochul.
Next, we'll hear, I guess, next we'll go to the signing. Phil Steck has not arrived. If he's here, we certainly want to, okay. All right, so let's get over and sign a bill. All right.
Tom, come on. Come up. I'm Phil Steck.
Yeah, there you go.
At least I didn't do Kathleen Mary Courtney Hochul. What's his name? Kristen.